love to know about your journey into post-punk and goth music.
So I was around 14, I guess. 14. Yeah, I was 14. And I was just searching on Spotify for playlists, and I found the early alternative playlist on Spotify,
Mm-hmm.
and I listened to it, and I was hooked by it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and since then, I've been listening to stuff like New Order, Joy Division, The Smiths, stuff like from late 70s, early 80s
Mm-hmm.
post-punk. And then like when I was 15, me and some of my friends decided to form a band. At first it was just a hobby, and we had some members, have some changes in the, members. And then in high school, I met Fauzan and the ex bass player in Camlann, Bayu. He is not in Camlann anymore since 2021 because he decided to depart from Camlann. So since 2021, it's just me and Fauzan. I call him Ojan.
Okay.
And since then we've been a duo, and also since by his departure, we've moved from dark post punk to a more dark disco influenced type of music. And at first, Camlann was just like a hobby, but then we signed into, at first, in 2020, we signed into a German record label called Transmission Music, and we released 2 albums with them. And then we decided to departure alongside with the departure of the bass player of Camlann. And then we released the 3rd album by our own, and then the 4th album we signed with Overwave Records from Russia, and we released Dismantle.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, it's impressive your journey, just your trajectory that you all have been releasing like an album every year, like a complete album, when I feel like nowadays it's pretty common to release like singles, a lot of singles, but complete bodies of work. It's super impressive. But of
Thank
course,
you.
like the growth also that you can hear it, throughout the album. So very beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm super curious. So you are in Indonesia, in Jakarta, right?
Yep.
So what is the scene like there? What is the goth scene like in Indonesia, in Jakarta?
We have several post-punk bands in here, but the scene itself is not really big. But we have a really huge alternative scene, like the whole alternative with shoegaze, indie, alternative metal and other alternative music. But for the goth scene, it's quite small.
Okay.
But we have several goth bands lately, so it's good.
Okay. Do you have any favorite Indonesian goth bands right now that you want to like shout out?
We have actually, because the scene is quite small, we're friends with most of the bands, and one of the bands that we're close with and we love to listen to is Pelteras.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. I think I recently discovered them as I was doing my research on you all, and I saw you guys did a show together, and I was like, oh, this is really good stuff. So yeah. Awesome. That's really awesome. And so I want to get into talking about your music. So of course, like, goth comes from punk, and punk is a genre that's very rooted in things like anti-authoritarianism, DIY, anti-consumerism, things like that. And I hear these topics throughout, especially your newest album that came out last year, towards the end of last year. I hear these topics. Yep. And so I'm just wondering, like, did those topics that are common in goth and punk, like, is that part of what drew you to create in these genres?
Well, basically, me and Oden both are Marxist, so we decided. I've been into the Marxist scene and active in the organization, in local organization and stuff since 2021. But on organization wise, I've been active since 2022, since I started university. And well, as a passionate person who has passion in Marxism and also social justice and stuff like that, I feel like we want to make an album that is dedicated in, Marxist propaganda and, just voicing the voiceless, voicing the proletariat and celebrate the proletariat in a sense. That's why we created the fourth album.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. You said the first album or this album?
Fourth.
Or the fourth album. Okay. Okay. Got it. Got it. Yeah, that's really, so how did you, I'm just curious, like, how long have you been, like a Marxist? How long has what was your journey with that?
Oh, so first I was like in high school and I read a lot. It's around in 2021. I read a lot of Marxist literature from Das Kapital, Communist Manifesto, a lot of works by Lenin, Stalin, and other communist figures. And since then, it develops. And in 2022, when I was firstly in university, I decided to get organized as a Marxist and join organizations like youth Marxist organizations. And actually now I'm the leader in the organization that I'm in. Okay. So it's quite fun and quite a journey. Also, the album Dismantle was made around 2022 after me and Ojan finished the exam for, to pass high school. So it was around holiday between the first year of college and the last year of high school. So we made the album around that time. And the album was finished around late 2022. And we just decided to make a song that could voice the commoner, the working class, the proletariat, because I feel like in music, we don't really see a lot of musicians embrace and voicing, the proletariat. And it's just sad because I think like everybody deserves a voice in music and everyone deserves to feel to relate to a song or to a music, to an album. And it's just sad that a lot of musicians glamorize the high life of the bourgeoisie, and we never actually really realize that a lot of things that we enjoy these days are done by the working class, are made by the working class, and their life has been hard, and nobody actually really voice and sing about their struggles, their hopes, their dreams. That's why we think as a Marxist, it is our job to actually, as a musician too, it is our job to actually voice the voiceless. And especially, I appreciate a lot of the work that the working class has done in history, throughout history. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And that's why I asked about just the connection with punk, because historically, although it's not always the case, historically, punk and goth come from that culture, right? That even if it's not, the lyrics aren't like necessarily voicing the struggles, which in punk it very much is a lot of times, but like even if not, it comes from this culture, that is closer to Marxism, so that's why I was just super interested in if there was any connection for you. And so, okay, so we talked about how your most recent work heavily focuses on like anti-consumerism, Marxism, themes like that. And that's a pretty big departure from your works before, right? Like thematically, it's a pretty big departure. So that definitely made me wonder, like, why this change and why now?
Yeah. Well, it's just like I explained to you previously, it's because in 2021, during the production of the third album, The Train to 86th Street, I discovered Marxism, and since then I've become very passionate about it and very passionate about the working class and the struggle of the class struggle and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. So it's really just a part of your evolution as a person being reflected in the music, which makes total sense. That makes total sense. Let's see. So a lot of, again, what we've been talking about is like a lot of the topics in the songs on the latest album have to do with dismantling oppressive systems, right? And have to touch on those things. And so I'm interested to know, I'm curious to know, what role do you see, if any, that music specifically plays in the dismantling of oppressive systems, if any?
I feel like art is a very powerful tool for propaganda itself. It's a very dangerous but a very wonderful tool. You could create the harmful message in art and hateful message in art, and it could move people, people who think commonly like you, to actually get motivated by that to do harmful things. Same thing as making music, making art in a sense, because I'm a visual art student, so I paint. So I feel like in a lot of art forms, you can create both positive and negative thing, and it really has a huge impact in how people could react towards the art itself. It could inspire people, and inspiring people could be very inspiring and very nice, but could also be very harmful if the message that you put are full of hatred or full of bigotry. So I feel like art is a very powerful tool for propaganda, and in order to take control of this powerful tool, we should make a lot of, music or art, any kind of art form. You could make a poem, you could make a painting, basically you can make a lot of things in art. Well, in my opinion, to take control of this powerful tool, you should create something that could move people into a better direction. In a sense, in this world that we're currently living in, there is a lot of, you could say, a lot of turbulence, both in politics and social issues. And it's a very desperate times. A lot of people are hopeless. And as an artist, we could create an art that could lift people up in these dark times and, inspire people to actually do something and change, because we can change things. We can change things. Maybe it's not big, but we can change things. You could definitely change things that you're not proud in your country. You could definitely change things that you think are not okay in your country. Maybe it's not big. Maybe it's not massive. It's not like revolutionary or politically huge, but small things. Maybe like protecting, people who are not protected by law, protecting your friends from bigotry, So, yeah, I think music would inspire people to do a lot of things. And that's what we're trying to do. And also trying to piss off and provoke people who doesn't like our ideas too. Because a lot of our listeners, we just realized that some of them, I'm not saying a lot of them, but some of them are right wingers. And, I dislike right wingers. And I think it's not only to inspire or lift up people, but also to tell them that, hey, you listen to our music, but you have very different value with us. So maybe we think about that when you listen to our music.
So I'm hearing to inspire people and also to challenge people, which I think is beautiful. And I think it's just really beautiful that you have that hope, because it's very true. that you understand that there's such a power to music, even if it's like subtle, like you were saying, like it is like a powerful tool. So, and I would say even myself, like listening to your music, especially the work from your latest album, has been just very affirming. Like even in just like, you know, I'm a person who cares a lot about things like equality, humanity, seeing change. But like you said, a lot of music is not reflecting that. So to have music, particularly music that's like kind of danceable, because I mean, when you dance, I think it just brings a sense of hope in
Yeah,
itself, right? And we
I
need
agree.
hope to continue to make change, right? So
Yes.
I'm super thankful for your work. And so, yeah. Um,
Thank
let's
you.
see. Yeah, let's see. So So one of the songs that I really love from the album is False Consciousness. And
That's my favorite
aptly,
song too.
yeah, aptly, it talks about the Marxist theory of false consciousness. And so I would love to know just like of course, that's, you know, the theory itself is the inspiration, but I just want to know like the inspiration behind the song.
Well, a lot of songs in the album is talking about again voicing the proletariat and raising the hopes and the dreams of the proletariat because they have a lot of dreams and hopes, but living in the capitalist system that we are right now, it's really hard to actually for the proletariats to achieve their dreams because well they have to work a lot and even the wage are they receive minimum or even less than minimum wage, and it's just sad. And for the false consciousness itself, I'm trying to lift up the proletariat by singing the song that will give them hope
Mm-hmm.
in a sense, because in the theory itself, it explains about sorry, I'm not really good with
No,
English.
no, no, you're
um,
doing very well.
okay. Uh, Sometimes it's hard to explain it in English, but I'll try my best. Uh, so in false consciousness, the theory itself is explaining about um, the 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 false the misperception of the proletariat class because they think that they were born poor and they cannot change the fact that they're poor. They usually blame themselves for their condition, which is very sad because it's not the case. In some cases, a lot of people think that, oh, if you are born poor, you could be rich. But in a sense, it's not that easy because you could be very rich since birth and you can be very poor since birth. And especially when there are no free education and no free healthcare, it's really hard to lift up poor people from poverty. And in this song, it definitely, I'm trying to bring consciousness towards the working class that, hey, you're not poor because you're worthless. It's just that we're living in a system that is oppressive to you and it's hard for you to go out from poverty. It's not your fault to have struggles,
Mm-hmm.
and it's valid to have struggles, and your struggles are valid, and your hopes and dreams are also valid. And it's just sad to see a lot of working class still have this false consciousness of thinking that their life is miserable because their own fault, when it's not. It's definitely not. It's the system that oppress them and make them harder to get out from poverty. So this song is really just trying to wake the working class from their own misery, from their own false consciousness, and tell them that, hey, there is a better future ahead. You just got to keep your head up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for sharing that. One of the things about the song that really stood out to me is that it's very hopeful, right? And the theory, like you were saying, of like false consciousness is basically that people act in alignment with the, let's say, the prosperity of the people who are oppressing them, right? Which is like kind of depressing, right? But it's the
Yeah,
reality a lot of times. And so like, but what I really loved about the song is that it takes like a very positive point of view, a very hopeful point of view, talking about people waking up. And so what I was really curious about is, where does that hope come from? Do you see right now, like you are in Indonesia, you are in Jakarta, like, are you seeing awakenings happening? You know, are you seeing it in the world, or is it something more that you're like envisioning and wanting to see?
I think we have to. I mean, I follow a lot of movements of the working class and the oppressed people all around the world. Like I usually read a lot of news, and um, I think there are a lot of movements from the working class all around the world right now, especially in my country. It's quite, the political climate is quite turbulent right now. But I see a lot of working class and, you know, middle to lower class people are waking up towards this turbulency, and they finally have the courage to actually say what they want to say about this issue. I cannot say a lot of things because I might get imprisoned.
No worries.
um, but but yeah, it's really refreshing to see that a lot of working class people are now starting to speak up in our country and have no fear in it. I think it's still a far journey for us to actually come into a society where everything is equal and everything is based on justice. But I think I could see hope, especially in the working class, because a lot of them are now going on the streets rioting, and I think that's hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's hopeful because at least now people have courage, you know. And also, I see, like, I'm very pro Palestine, and I see a lot of people all around the world are uniting with Palestine. It definitely really touched my heart. It is amazing to see, and it gives us hope, you know, that people, even though in these hopeless times where they cannot do anything, they still want to rise up as a people, as a human race, together for the same cause. I think even though they cannot do anything politically, gathering as masses are definitely inspiring and hopeful for the future, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. That's cool. I mean, you didn't go into the details, and you shouldn't, but it's cool to hear that things are happening in Indonesia, and then also for sure, like just mentioning like Palestine 100%. It kind of like the some of the album, like it makes me think of that, and even that song, it makes me think of that. Like it just seems to be like some kind of, we have far to go, but some kind of awakening is happening, because things like this have been happening for a long time, and like people didn't really do anything about it, but now it's like people are still taking to the streets all around the world, you know what I mean? So like that's something, like something is
Yes.
happening. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, and yeah, and I think music like this is important for times like these, so yeah, that's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I have a few questions just to wrap up with.
Sure.
Um, so I'm just I guess just like a general question is like, what these days, what's bringing you inspiration? What's bringing you hope in these like crazy times?
We're currently making our fifth album, and the title of the album is Problems of the Modern World. So it has a similar theme to Dismantle, but it has a more, it it criticizes social issues more than political issues. In Dismantle, we criticize a lot of political issues. In the fifth album, we're trying to criticize a lot of social issues that is rooted in capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
So things like overconsumption, things like overwork of the middle class in corporate world, you know, things like that. So basically social issues that rooted in capitalism. So I feel like, I think since the fourth album and moving forward to the fifth and the sixth and the next album, I think we are inspired by real things that happening in all around the world, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, actual things that people go through, social issues, political issues. I think those stuff are the things that inspired us the most, because since the fourth album, me and Ojen have promised that we are going to make music that is actually voicing the things that actually happen in real life, and not just making just another, album with a theme or whatever, like the first album to the third album. So yeah, we're inspired by real things that happening, and we'll keep talking and voicing the voice of the working class.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I look forward to what you all have next. I think it's something that, so it's like my background is in punk, like that was my first love, and I would say like I'm in, like more I listen to, let's say, more like goth music and things like that. But I think the thing that attracts me so much to your music is that it I think a lot of goth music doesn't, and it doesn't have to, but it doesn't necessarily, or at least the most popular, it doesn't necessarily touch on like social issues, political issues the way punk does.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine, but it's just really nice to like hear a group that is doing that, because I think it's needed, so and so speaking of, I guess I was going to say goth music, but it doesn't have to be goth music. But I was just going to ask, like, what artists are inspiring you right now? What are you listening to these days?
Oh my god, I listen to a lot of random music. Like I listen to anything. Like I listen to a lot of Elton John and Supertramp actually since I was a child until now. David Bowie, stuff like that. But in music, if I'm creating music for Camlann, I usually got inspired a lot of like goth music, like Boy Harsher, Depeche Mode, like, well, mainstream goth music, I guess. And like a lot of the songs that in the fifth album actually are mixing goth with rock music. So I've been listening a lot to alternative rock, like Mother, and yeah, a lot of alternative music.
Okay.
A lot of guitars in there also.
Okay.
So it's quite different than the fourth one, because the fourth one was very electronic. It was very like 80s Depeche Mode, like very 80s dark disco, Italo disco type of stuff. And this one we're trying to mix rock with dark disco. So yeah, it's quite new. And I've been listening to a lot of Boy Harsher actually. If you're talking about goth music, also LEX. Her new album is very 80s post punk. Her new album is very it's very post punk. It's very goth. I listen to a lot of LEX lately, and Boy Harsher also I've been listening to a lot of Depeche Mode, and She Passed Away. Stuff like that.
Okay. I love that, and I love that your inspirations are so broad. And I will say, it's just like such a cool thing to hear you say, like you're just you all as a band, you're not afraid to like explore and break out of whatever your album, whatever box you might be in. Like you're not afraid to explore and like go into like mix other genres and stuff like that. So that just, a lot of people get stuck, but I just love that exploratory nature that you all have. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to what's next. When do you know when it's coming out?
It's going to be released next year, I guess.
Okay. Oh, awesome. And then my last question is just, how can people support you all right now?
Well, you can listen to our music in Spotify and Bandcamp. Also watch our music videos on YouTube, because actually we did a lot of effort in recording the music videos, especially like for False Consciousness and Your Death Is My Glory. So it would be nice if people could watch it, because I mean, we're very grateful that a lot of people have been buying our music in Bandcamp and have been listening to our music in Spotify a lot. But I mean, the views in YouTube are not as much as what we get in Spotify, or as much as the purchase we get in Bandcamp. It's quite heartbreaking because we actually made a lot of effort in the music video. So I think if you like our music, it would be nice if you could watch the music video. Maybe it could also inspire you because again, I study in visual art, so I paint a lot and I draw a lot. And I feel like combining visual art in music videos and music is really powerful, and it could definitely, um, pull out the message even further.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Awesome. And I agree with that. I love the music videos. It's interesting to hear that you're like a
Thank you.
visual artist as well. That makes sense for the quality of the videos. So and the vision, behind it. So yeah. So that is all I have today. Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
time. It was so
Thank
lovely to
you.
talk to you.
It was all started when